You know, when we see Elon Musk launching rockets or building these crazy futuristic cars, it's so easy to just write it off as, oh, he's a genius, or, well, he has billions of dollars. But what if his actual superpower, his real edge, is something that any of us could learn? Today, we are going to try and decode what's been called Musk's secret sauce. We're going to figure out what it is and if it's something we can use too.
See, it's not just about being smart. Tim Urban, the guy behind Wait But Why, spent a ton of time with Musk and came to this huge realization. He saw that Musk's real advantage is something different. It's a unique way of thinking. It's a mental framework that just sets him completely apart from pretty much everyone else. So, what on earth is it?
Well, it all boils down to this really powerful analogy, and this is going to frame our entire conversation today. It's understanding the fundamental difference between being a cook and being a chef. Okay, so here's the big idea. A cook follows a recipe. They do things a certain way because, well, that's how it's always been done. They're reasoning by analogy. But a chef is totally different. The chef invents the recipe. They start from the most basic raw ingredients and reason up from what are called first principles.
And this right here is the whole game. Musk operates as a chef. So let's really deconstruct what that means. Let's dig into his number one mental tool, reasoning from first principles. So what is it, really? Well, instead of looking at what everybody else has done, you break a problem all the way down to its absolute fundamental truths, the physics of it, the base-level facts that you know for sure are true. And then you build your conclusions back up from there. It's about building from the ground up, not just copying and pasting what already exists.
Okay, let's make this real. When Musk decided he wanted to go to space, he didn't start by looking at the price of existing rockets. He started by asking a super simple first principles question. Why are rockets so expensive in the first place? He just flat out refused to accept the industry's price tags. He challenged the core assumption itself.
Now the cook's answer, the answer he got from everyone else, was pretty simple. Rockets are expensive because they've always been expensive. I mean, that's just pure reasoning by analogy. It's accepting the recipe without ever questioning it.
But Musk, thinking like a chef, just ignored all that conventional wisdom. He asked a much more fundamental, a much more basic question. He asked, okay, forget the price tag. What is a rocket actually made of?
And what he found was, honestly, it was staggering. He did the math, he calculated the cost of all the raw materials you need to build a rocket. You know, the aluminum, the titanium, the carbon fiber, and it all came out to only about 2% of the final price. The problem wasn't the ingredients. It was the ridiculously inefficient recipe that everyone else was blindly following.
So this begs a really important question, right? If this way of thinking is so incredibly powerful, why don't more people do it? Well, it turns out this isn't really about Elon Musk. It's about us. The truth is, most of us are trained, from the day we're born, to think like cooks.
I want you to think about this phrase, because I said so. We've all heard it. This is the ultimate shutdown of first principles thinking. A kid's natural instinct is to ask why, again and again, trying to deconstruct the rules down to their foundation. But because I said so teaches us one thing: stop asking questions and just follow the recipe.
And this conditioning, it gets reinforced literally everywhere. We're taught to accept dogma from authority figures. We're pressured to conform to our social tribe. People like us do stuff like this. And even our education system often rewards just following instructions over true independent invention. We are systematically taught to become really good cooks.
So the big question is, how do we break out of it? How do we escape this cook mindset and actually start thinking more like a chef? Well, the path involves three really key mental shifts. Let's call them three epiphanies that can totally change how you see the world. So here they are. These are the 3 steps on the path to becoming a chef. You gotta adopt some humility, then build confidence in your own reasoning, and finally, embrace a certain kind of fearlessness. Let's break them down one by one. All right, step 1 is all about true intellectual humility. It starts by admitting that a lot of your strongest beliefs, they might just be dogma you've picked up along the way, not facts you've actually confirmed for yourself. Your goal here isn't to be right, it's to be a little less wrong every day. This means you have to adopt a lab mentality. Treat your own beliefs like hypotheses that need to be constantly questioned and tested.
Okay, so once you realize your own certainty is maybe built on a pretty fragile foundation, you have the second epiphany. So is everyone else's, right? Conventional wisdom is often just as shaky. Society, the so-called experts, the crowd,
They don't have some secret playbook you're missing. And that realization, that's what gives you the confidence to finally start trusting your own reasoning over just following the herd.
And this brings us to the final epiphany. You start to realize that most of the things we're afraid of, embarrassment, rejection, even failure, they're not actually life-threatening. Life isn't this terrifying tightrope walk over a volcano. It's actually a lot more like a video game. You can run experiments, you can try things, and what happens if you fail? You just respawn. You don't actually die.
And this all leads to this incredibly powerful idea, which Steve Jobs just captured perfectly. He said everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you, and you can change it. Just think about that for a second. The world isn't some fixed, unchangeable thing. It was built. And if it was built, it can be rebuilt. You can be one of the builders. That's the ultimate freedom of the chef mindset.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. Just take a look at your own life, your own career. What's a recipe you're following right now without even realizing it? And more importantly, if you truly, deep down, knew you couldn't fail, what experiment would you run?